The stars had been quiet for a long time. In the outer rim of the galaxy, no wars had been fought for nearly 2 centuries. Trade was stable, borders were calm. The Galactic Council, made up of hundreds of advanced alien species, believed they had achieved peace. After all, the most dangerous species, humans, were gone. 300 years ago, Earth had gone dark. No signals, no ships, no warnings. At first, the Council sent scouts to investigate. All they found were ruins and empty cities. Earth looked abandoned. The rest of humanity's colonies were quiet too. It was as if an entire species had vanished overnight. And so, the Council moved on. In history books, humans were called the Angry Fire, a species that rose too fast, burned too bright, and disappeared. Their technology was feared, but without them, the galaxy felt safer. Slowly, humans became a myth, something ancient, something extinct, but the stars were too quiet. Captain Lauren of the Jalari Scout Corps was the first to notice something strange. His small ship Watcher's Eye was scanning a dead zone near the Orion Arm. It was supposed to be routine work, just checking radiation levels, monitoring old trade routes, nothing dangerous. But then his sensors caught a flicker, not a star, not a ship, something else. It moved for a moment, then disappeared. Lauren adjusted the ship's scanners, increasing power. He tried again. Nothing, just empty space. But he had seen it, a shadow, something large and cold. It didn't emit light. It didn't reflect signals. It just floated, then vanished. He reported it to the Council. They laughed. "It's probably a broken sensor," said a Darnak representative. "That region is full of space dust." Lauren didn't argue, but he saved the data. He wasn't the only one. In the following weeks, similar reports came in from 3 other scout ships. Different sectors, same story. A large, dark object seen. For a moment, then gone. No engine trails, no heat, no transponder signals. It wasn't natural, but it wasn't alien either. It was ... silent. The Council began to worry, but only in private. A secret meeting was called. 12 members of the Inner Ring sat in a secure chamber. Deep inside the floating capital station of Araxis Prime, holograms flickered around the table, showing blurred images of strange shapes in space. None were clear. None could be confirmed. But the pattern was growing. "It's human," said Admiral Vesk of the Drell. The room fell silent. "Impossible," whispered the insectoid speaker. "Gria, they are extinct. Dead are they?" Vesk growled. "We assumed Earth was finished. But we never found bodies. No wrecks, no distress calls, just silence." "Maybe they destroyed themselves," said another. Vesk slammed his clawed hand on the table. "Or maybe they hid." The word echoed in the room. Hid silence is not always peace. Sometimes silence is the sound of sharpening swords, far from the Council's chamber. In a forgotten part of the galaxy, something ancient began to stir. Beneath, a dusty red planet, covered in sandstorms and false data markers, was a facility. It did not show up on maps. It could not be seen by probes. Its surface looked dead, lifeless. But deep below, massive engines came online. Lights flickered in long corridors. Steel doors opened, and inside. Soldiers woke, not just soldiers, machines, drones, pilots, humans, cloned, trained, and frozen. For 300 years, their leader, Admiral Kale, stepped out of cryo chamber number 1. Her eyes opened slowly. No emotion, no fear. "Report," she said. A calm AI voice replied. "Galactic Council has forgotten Earth. The plan is active. Project Revenant is green." Kale nodded. "Wake the fleet." In the Council's public news broadcasts, everything still looked normal. New trade routes were opening. Festivals were being planned on Cora 7. A new moon had been discovered in the red spiral arm, but behind the scenes, things were shifting. The planet Aronis 5 went completely silent. It was a major mining hub with over 60,000 workers. All transmissions stopped. The Council sent a team. They found nothing. Not destruction, not debris, just ... emptiness. The buildings were there. Machines still worked, but every living being was gone. No blood, no signs of struggle. It was like they had vanished into thin air. The team left. Quickly Anne said nothing. Officially, Aronis 5 suffered a solar radiation leak. Unofficially, the Council panicked. A week later, a second system went dark, and this time, the Council received a message. It wasn't a warning. It wasn't a threat. It was a video. In the clip, a Council fleet entered orbit around a cold blue planet, one that wasn't on any star charts. As the ships approached, something moved from the surface. It wasn't one ship. It was dozens. Sleek, black, silent. No lights, no communication, just movement. The Council fleet opened fire first. Big mistake. Within seconds, human ships returned. Fire. Their weapons were unlike anything ever seen. Beams of curved light tore through shields. Gravity pulses folded enemy vessels like paper. The battle was over in less than a minute. Then came the final imagery, massive warship slowly rising from the planet's surface. It was shaped like a blade. Its hull shimmered like liquid metal, and on its side, just one word glowed in old Terran script, EARTH. Then the screen went black dot. Back at the Council, fear took root. If they have that kind of firepower, why haven't they attacked more? Someone asked. No one answered, because deep down, they all knew the truth. Humanity wasn't attacking. They were sending a message. On a quiet moon orbiting the trade world of Veltronus, a group of smugglers received an unexpected guest, a human dot, not a warrior, not a soldier, just a man in black, carrying an old data pad. He walked into the bar and placed the pad on the table. "I need this delivered to the Council," he said. The smugglers stared at him, shocked. "You're human," one of them whispered. The man smiled. "Not just me." He walked out. No one stopped him. The pad was taken to the Council 3 days later. It contained a list, 12 names. Each name belonged to a high-ranking council member from 300 years ago. Those who had voted to secretly destroy Earth and silence its colonies. At the bottom of the list were 2 words: "We remember." All across the galaxy, things began to shift. Civilizations that had mocked humanity started to prepare for war. Others remembered the old alliance days and quietly sent messages. "We are not your enemy." Some just shut down their ports and locked their gates. Fear spread fast, faster than light, but no one could find where the humans were hiding. Their ships appeared, attacked, vanished. They moved like shadows, hit like lightning, and left no survivors. Every mission seemed calculated. Every strike had purpose. This was not rage. This was revenge. Back on the hidden planet called Palehaven, Admiral Kale stood on the bridge of the warship Vindicator. Her crew silent and focused watched as shipyards brought more vessels online. "Status of Operation Dawnbreak?" she asked. 70% complete, said her officer. 17 fleets ready, 40 more in final checks. Kale nodded. "When will the Council respond with force?" "They already are," he replied. "But they don't know who they're fighting." She turned to the giant screen before her. Stars glittered like dust. "For 3 centuries," she said, "we watched them lie, cheat, rewrite history." She stepped forward, voice cold. "They erased Earth. Now Earth erases them." The stars had been quiet, but silence is not peace. Silence is the pause before the scream. And now the storm was coming. The Jellary Republic was one of the oldest members of the Galactic Council, known for their advanced sensors and deep space scanners. They prided themselves on detecting threats before they arrived, but today their scanners failed. Scoutship Vale, Dancer, patrolling near Sector E19, had just finished its route. Captain Nira Vel, a respected officer with over 40 years of space service, leaned back in her chair and sighed. "Another empty patrol," she said. "The stars are sleeping." Her pilot chuckled. "Maybe that's a good thing. Quiet stars mean quiet lives." But the stars weren't sleeping. A red alert blared. The lights on the bridge turned orange. A sensor ping echoed again, and again something large had entered the sector. "Show me," Nira shouted, standing up. The screen flickered. At first, it looked like a shadow, a black shape, massive, slow-moving, without any lights, no engine, trail, no transponder signal. It was nearly invisible, but it was there. The ship had no markings, no flag, no name, just a shape. It was longer than a dreadnought, wider than most carriers, and shaped like a spearhead. A low hum buzzed through, the ship's speaker's interference, or something else. "Try hailing it," Nira said. The comms officer opened a broad-spectrum channel. "Unknown vessel, this is Jalari scout ship Veil Dancer. You are entering council space. Identify yourself." Silence, no response. Again, they tried. Then a third. Time. Still nothing. But the shadow ship kept moving slowly, confidently toward a nearby gas giant. Then suddenly, it disappeared. Not with speed, not with cloaking. It simply blinked out of existence. The bridge went silent. "Where did it go?" the pilot whispered. "The scanners couldn't find it. It wasn't cloaked, it was gone." Nira felt a chill crawl up her spine. "Send everything. To the capital, every bit of sensor data." She paused, then added, "And mark this ship, unidentified." The message reached the council within hours. Again, they laughed. "It's a glitch," said one ambassador. "Some kind of phantom image." But not everyone believed that. Counselor Varn, a longtime skeptic of human extinction, reviewed the data personally. The readings were strange beyond strange. The material of the ship, the electromagnetic field it carried, the gravity fluctuations it didn't match any known species. Tech, and worse there, were signs of Terran signal architecture buried. "In the ship's code signature, it's human," Varn whispered. He stood up from his desk and left for the council war room in a different part of the galaxy. Another ship appeared, this time in the Trask Belt. Near a mining station run by the Grakel species, a massive freighter was moving minerals to a council depot when its escort ships detected a strange echo. "Pilots?" one of the pilots asked. "No," the commander replied. "This signal, it's not right." The escort ships moved in formation, weapons charged. Then the shadow came. It didn't attack. It simply drifted near the freighter, paused, and faced it. The mining station received a visual feed. A giant black ship, same spearhead shape, same quiet movements. One engineer zoomed in on the image. His hands trembled. "Wait," he whispered. "That design, it looks like something from the Terran Wars." "What do you mean?" his supervisor asked. "I studied Earth's old military ships during university. This looks like their final generation, before they vanished." Suddenly, the screen went black. Every feed cut off. Communications died. The mining station lost all contact with the ships. An hour later, the freighter returned, alone. No escorts, no shadow, no memory in the ship's AI. The captain's log was empty. Only one file remained. A single image of the black ship and a phrase written in old Earth code. "You watched us fall. Now watch us rise." The council could no longer ignore it. They called an emergency session. Delegates from over 200 species gathered in the Grand Assembly Hall on Varex's Prime. A hologram of the black ship hovered over the central platform. "This ship has been sighted in 3 different sectors in 2 weeks, Counselor Varn said. "Each time, it disappears without a trace. Each time, the technology is advanced beyond our understanding." "Why do you believe it's human?" one ambassador challenged. Varn gestured toward the hologram. "The materials, the size, the..." Silence. "And this?" He zoomed in on the ship's hull. Hidden beneath layers of metal, nearly invisible, was a pattern old Terran military design used during the final Earth colony wars. A wave of nervous whispers filled the chamber. "But humans are extinct," someone muttered. "Are they?" Varn said, his voice rising. "We never found their bodies. We never found their fleet. We assumed that was our mistake. Why would they hide for 3 centuries?" No one had an answer. But then the chamber lights flickered, and a message appeared on every council screen. "Judgment is coming." There was no source, no trace, no hack. Just the message, written in human language. Back on Palehaven, Admiral Kale stood before a wall-sized screen displaying the Galactic Council's security feed. She smiled. "Good," she said. "They're watching." Commander Rice approached her. "Should we begin Phase 2? "Not yet," she replied. "Let the fear grow. Let them remember who they betrayed." Rice looked at her with concern. "And what if they strike first?" Kale turned toward him, eyes cold. "Then we respond as planned. Complete destruction of military assets only. No civilian targets. We're not monsters, we're judges." She walked to the central command station. All around her, humans worked. In silence, they wore dark uniforms with no insignias. Their eyes were trained. their minds sharp. They had been born for this, raised in hidden colonies, trained in silence, prepared for war. The Council formed a special task force operation seeker, 20 ships from 5 species. Armed with the latest tech, were sent to hunt the shadow ship. They patrolled Sector E-19, where the first sighting occurred. For 3 days, they found nothing. On the 4th day, their sensors picked up something strange. A signal not from the ship, but from deep space. It wasn't a call, it was a sound, a low-frequency hum, almost like a heartbeat. And then, the black ship appeared. This time, it didn't vanish, it moved forward, slow, controlled. The task force opened communication. "This is Commander Talek of Operation Seeker. Identify yourself or be fired upon." Silence. Final warning. Silence. Then, the ship spoke, a voice cold and calm. "This is not your galaxy anymore." Before anyone could respond, the black ship launched a single pulse. A wave of blue light spread across the sector. It didn't destroy the ships, it shut them down. Engines failed. Weapons failed. Even life support froze. One by one, ships began to drift. Within 5 minutes, the entire task force was disabled. The black ship turned and vanished. Only one vessel, the Jalari scout ship Veil Dancer, managed to survive because it was hiding in a nearby asteroid field. Captain Nira watched everything, recorded everything. She sent the data to the Council with one message: "This is not a test. The humans are back." Across the galaxy, reactions were swift. The merchant guilds stopped trading in outer sectors. The Valerian military placed planetary shields on high alert. Pirates abandoned Council routes, fearing they'd cross paths with the black ship dot and on certain forgotten worlds. Old Terran allies began activating sleeper agents. Not all species had turned on Earth. Some had simply gone quiet, waiting for the day Earth would return that day. Was now in a secret chamber deep within the Council archives. Counselor Varn studied the last map of Earth's colonies, those believed to be destroyed. Most had been listed as lost. But now he looked again. Were they really lost? Or were they hiding? Suddenly, an old quote came to his mind. Something a Terran admiral once said during the final Earth colony war. "Silence is not surrender. It is patience." Varn stared at the map, and for the first time in his life, he was afraid. Far away, in the blackness of space, the ship no one could identify moved once more. It passed a dying star. Its hull shimmered with ancient power. Inside, human pilots watched and waited. They did not cheer. They did not boast. They had a mission, and it had only just begun. The Grand Council chamber of Varaxis Prime was no longer calm. For the first time in a century, full lockdown was declared. Security drones hovered in every corner. Guards armed with plasma rifles stood near every door. Delegates whispered nervously. As giant screens played the latest footage again and again, the unidentified black ship, the one that had disabled 20 of the Council's most advanced warships, moved like it was alive. It ignored warnings, replied with a single sentence, and disappeared without a trace. It had left no wreckage, just fear. Counselor Varn stood in front of the gathered species. His voice was calm, but his eyes showed concern. "You've all seen the footage," he said. "The power, the technology, the precision." He paused, then added, and the voice had spoken only 6 words. "This is not your galaxy anymore." It had no accent, no echo, but something about it felt human. Some still denied it. "The humans are gone," said High Speaker Drell of the Marnock, "dead and buried." "No," Vaughn replied, "they're not. We just stopped looking." The room grew silent. Varn tapped the screen again. New images appeared, archives from over 300 years ago. "This ship," he continued, "matches design patterns from Earth's final military blueprints. I've confirmed it with ancient Terran war records. The size, shape, energy signature, it's too perfect to be coincidence." "But Earth is dead," another delegate said. "We saw the planet, empty, silent. Did you go down to the surface?" Varn asked. There was no answer. No one had landed on Earth in centuries. The Council had simply observed, from orbit, recorded the silence, and assumed humanity had fallen. That had been a mistake. In a dark command room on Palehaven, Admiral Kale watched the council's meeting through a stolen satellite feed. Her officers stood beside her, silent and focused. "They're starting to believe," she said. Commander Rice nodded. "Phase 2, Kale thought for a moment. "No," she replied. "Let the panic spread first." "Why not attack while they're afraid?" Rice asked. Kale turned toward him. Her voice was quiet but firm, because fear is more powerful than destruction. If we strike too fast, they'll unite. But if we shake their trust, they'll destroy each other. Rice said nothing. He understood. This wasn't just a war. It was a reckoning. Back at the council, a classified session began. Only 12 inner council members were allowed inside. Varn presented more evidence this time from a recovered Terran AI, found dormant inside a forgotten data core on Moon G-9. When activated, the AI said only one thing: Earth has eyes. It then self-destructed, sending out a pulse that crashed 3 systems in the core database. One of the members stood up. "This is psychological warfare." Another added, "If the humans are back, why now? What do they want?" Varn turned slowly. "They want us to remember, 3 centuries ago, the Council made a secret decision. Earth had become too powerful, too fast. Their science, weapons, and ideas were years ahead of most Council races. And unlike other species, humans weren't afraid of war. They had survived their own extinction. More than once, they had conquered deadly planets. They had adapted to poison atmospheres. They even turned black holes into energy sources. But worst of all, they refused to bow. When the Council tried to force Earth into their political system, humanity resisted. They exposed corruption. They defended weaker races. They became a threat not because of violence, but because of truth. And so the Council made a plan. They cut Earth off. From trade, they sent false information to their colonies. They funded rebellions in human space. Then, they erased them from the records. The official story was simple. Earth destroyed itself now. That lie was returning on black warships. On the distant mining moon, Irust 9. Another appearance shook the galaxy. A security drone recorded a ship landing. Without permission, it had no council codes, no escort, and yet no one stopped it. The ship's doors opened, and a small team stepped out, humans in dark armor, with no flag, no names. And no fear, they walked into the station's central hall and uploaded a file to the main terminal. Then they left, no shots fired, no threats made by the time security forces arrived. The humans were gone. The file they left behind was broadcast galaxy-wide. It showed video, footage from 300 years ago secret meetings where the Council voted to remove Earth from the map. All faces were clear. All voices were recorded. It was undeniable. Proof: the lie was exposed. Riots broke out on 3 Council planets. News channels screamed, "What did we do to Earth? Is the Council hiding more? Will the humans take revenge?" Panic spread faster than light, and still, Earth said nothing. No demands, no messages, only silence, and ships that came and went like ghosts, in the heart of Earth's hidden command center, deep beneath the surface of Palehaven. Admiral Kale met with her top strategists. "Public unrest is growing," Rice reported. "Their people are questioning everything, even their own leaders." "Good," Kale replied. "Let the truth eat their lies." "What's our next step?" he asked. Kale stared at the star map. Red dots marked the systems that had betrayed Earth. Blue dots marked colonies that had gone silent. "We wait," she said. "For what?" Rice asked. "For them to break." Meanwhile, on the Council-controlled world of Leo's Prime, an ancient species called the Solari released a statement to the galaxy. They were one of the oldest allies of humanity during the early expansion years. Their message was simple: Earth stood with us when no one else did. If they have returned, we do not fear them. We welcome them. Other species began to follow. Old colonies, Lon thought. Destroyed sense signals. Mars. Titan. Proxima. All alive. All waiting. All loyal to Earth. Back on Varaxis Prime. Chaos erupted. In the council chamber, delegates accused each other of hiding evidence, of lying, of betrayal. Fists slammed on tables. Voices shouted. One alien ambassador stormed out and declared, "If humanity returns, I will side with them, At least they don't lie. That moment was broadcast live. Billions saw it. The Council's image. Cracked dot, their unity shattered, just as Earth had planned. Knight Varn sat alone in his chamber. He stared at an old Fila. Photo from over 300 years ago, it showed a Terran woman in a black uniform standing in front of a burning sun. Her name was written in the corner. Admiral Kale Dot, the same name that now echoed in whispered rumors. He leaned back and whispered to himself, "They're not coming for war. They're coming for justice." And the galaxy wasn't ready. The Galactic Council had lost control. Riots had spread across dozens of systems. News anchors questioned old stories. Citizens demanded answers. Why did the Council lie about Earth? Why did humanity disappear? And now, most important, had they been hiding? Even now, the black warships were still being spotted in deep space. They would appear for only moments near mining stations, research outposts, trade lanes, and then vanish again. No one could trace them. No one could follow them. It was as if they were stepping out of nowhere. But that was about to change. In a far-off sector of the galaxy officially marked as uninhabitable, a deep space mining drone from the Coran Trade Guild malfunctioned. Instead of returning home, it drifted into a system labeled LZ4 to null. The system was not on any star map. It had no known planets. According to records, it was just empty space. But the drone sent back a signal, then another, then a full data packet. Inside the transmission were images blurry, distorted by heavy radiation, but clear enough to cause panic. There was a planet in the system, a planet that didn't exist on any map, covered in clouds, large Earth-like atmosphere. But more important, orbiting it were ships, dozens, maybe hundreds, massive black warships, each one larger than the next. Floating silently like statues, the drone's footage ended abruptly cut off by a high-frequency EMP, but the message had already spread. The Council reviewed the footage in horror. "This can't be real," whispered Counselor Drell, staring at the screen. "There's no record of this system ever having planets," added another. "It was scanned 2 centuries ago." Counselor Varn, now fully convinced of Earth's return, stood slowly. "Maybe it was there all along," he said. "We just couldn't see it." Everyone turned to him. "What are you suggesting?" Varn zoomed into the footage. He pointed to the planet's surface. "This isn't just any world, it's cloaked." The room fell silent. Cloaking a single ship was difficult. Cloaking a planet, impossible, or at least that's what everyone believed. "Then who could do this?" someone asked. Varn didn't answer. He didn't need to. Everyone in the room already knew. Far away, deep beneath the surface of that hidden planet, Admiral Kale stood in the heart of Earth's secret command base. They called the world Palehaven. But in ancient Earth records, it had another name, Sanctum-1. It had been Earth's final defense project before the Council cut them off, hidden from sensors, cloaked by artificial radiation storms, designed to become humanity's last stronghold. It worked. For 300 years, no one found it. No one even looked. Now, inside the underground chamber, dozens of screens showed live updates from around the galaxy. Riots on Council, planets, messages from old colonies, civilizations turning against the Council. And one screen showed the mining drone, the one that had accidentally found them. Kale watched it burn up in orbit, destroyed by a satellite defense ring. Rice, her second in command, stepped forward. "They saw us," he said. Kale didn't flinch. "Let them. They'll come," he warned. "They are already too late." The Council held a closed-door meeting. This time, there were no arguments, just fear. "We must send a fleet," said a Zynthian general. "We must confront them." "You saw what one ship did to our task force," Varn replied. "A full fleet might not even reach orbit. We can't do nothing." Varn looked around the room. His voice was steady. "There is only one way to survive this. We must speak with them." Everyone stared at him in shock. "Negotiate," someone gasped. "With humans, they are not savages," Varn said. "They are angry. We made them angry, and we need to listen." But before the Council could agree on any action, something worse happened. A transmission was sent to every major world. It wasn't from the Council. It wasn't from any known government. It was from Earth. On screens across the galaxy, a woman appeared, standing tall, dressed in black military armor. Her face was calm, her eyes cold. She stood in front of a massive burning star, with warships floating in the background. "I am Admiral Kale of Earth," she said. "3 centuries ago, you turned your backs on us. You betrayed our trust. You erased our name from your history. We watched, we waited, and now we return not as victims, but as judges." The video ended, no demands, no threats, just a statement. A declaration of return. Panic followed. Council, military forces scrambled to prepare defenses. Governments issued emergency broadcasts. Some civilians fled core worlds, fearing war. Others cheered, shouting, "Let Earth bring justice." But none of them truly understood what was coming, because Palehaven wasn't just a hidden planet, it was the center of a hidden empire. Inside Earth's command network, Admiral Kale met with the leaders of humanity's scattered colonies. On secure holographic links, leaders from Mars, Titan, Europa, and beyond appeared. Some looked human, some had evolved in different ways, but all served one flag. All had survived in secret. "We've waited centuries for this moment," Kale said. "Now the Council knows we're here. Phase 2 begins now." The Martian general nodded. "Fleet 1 is ready." The Europa diplomat added, "Our allies are preparing to rise." Kale raised her hand. "Let the stars know. Earth has returned." In orbit around Palehaven, the dark ships moved, not with speed, not with sound, but with purpose. Each one aligned, itself with the planet's rotation, forming a wall of steel and power. They weren't hiding anymore. They were waiting. And across the stars, the silence was broken. The galaxy watched and feared, because now they understood. Earth didn't fall. Earth disappeared so it could rise again. The Council gathered its largest fleet in over a century. 500 warships, 12 battlecruisers, 4 dreadnoughts, and 1 new prototype vessel built with the most advanced alien technology in the galaxy. They called it Operation Unitia. Mission to confront the hidden human world and force them to stand down. Diplomacy had failed. The Council was divided. Some wanted to talk, but others wanted to show strength. So they sent a message to Palehaven. It was short and direct. "Surrender your fleet. Disband your forces. Return to Council rule." No reply came, so they moved in the quiet of deep space. The Council fleet jumped into the Palehaven system. Admiral Zorak, a veteran of 3 wars, stood on the bridge of the lead dreadnought Vengeance. Of stars, his voice was firm. "Begin scan. Lock onto their ships. Let's show them who controls the galaxy." But something was wrong. Their scanners showed nothing. No planet, no warships, just empty space. "Where is it?" one officer asked. Zorak frowned. "It was here. We saw the footage." He turned to his navigator. "Confirmed, jumped coordinates. Admiral, this is Palehaven's location, but the system is blank." Zorak's eyes narrowed. They cloaked the entire planet again. Then, one by one, enemy ships began to appear. Not with sound, not with light, just sudden, silent arrival. 1530, 5200. 5200 dark ships slowly faded into visibility, forming a wall around the Council fleet. Each was black as night, shaped like a dagger, and armed with weapons no one had ever seen before. Admiral Zorak tried to open communication. "Unknown fleet, identify yourselves. We are operating under the authority of the Galactic Council." A response came not in words, but in a signal, a digital file. It opened automatically on every screen aboard the fleet. A human face appeared. Admiral Kale. She stood once again in front of that burning star, expression calm. "You came to demand surrender," she said, "but you never asked why we prepared for war. This is not vengeance. This is balance. You erased us. Now we erase your illusion of power." Then the message ended, and Earth struck. The attack was fast. Too fast. Council ships tried to power up shields, but they failed. A low-frequency pulse, invisible to the eye, had already hit the fleet's command systems. Earth's ships had launched a cyber assault before the Council even arrived. Dozens of warships went dark instantly, engines offline, weapons unresponsive in less than 30 seconds. 1/3 of the Council fleet was disabled. The remaining ships tried to fight back. They launched missiles, fired energy beams. But Earth's warships moved like they bent the laws of physics. Lasers curved, missiles vanished mid-flight. Entire ships shimmered, disappeared, then reappeared behind enemy lines. Admiral Zorak shouted orders, target their flagships, fire at will. But it was too late. A massive Earth warship, 5 times the size of a Council dreadnought, moved forward. Its weapons glowed a dark red dot. It didn't fire bullets. It didn't launch bombs. It released a graviton wave. The nearest enemy ships crumpled like paper, not exploded, compressed by impossible gravity. Inside Vengeance of Stars, Zorak stood frozen. "We were never prepared for this," he whispered. His second-in-command turned pale. They knew we were coming. On Palehaven, Admiral Kale watched the battle unfold in silence. Commander Rice stood beside her. "They never had a chance," he said. Kale didn't smile. She didn't cheer. She simply said, "Send the signal, end the fight." A code was transmitted to every disabled Council ship still. Floating in space, their screens lit up again with Kale's face. "We don't kill the powerless. Return to your people. Tell them what you saw." And just like that, the battle was over. Out of 500 ships, over 200 were destroyed. 100 more were left disabled, floating like broken glass. The rest jumped back to Council. Space in retreat. No pursuit followed. Earth didn't need to chase them. The message had been sent. The galaxy was no longer in control. Earth was back on Varaxis Prime. The Council chamber was in chaos. News of the defeat had reached every corner of the galaxy. Footage from surviving ships leaked online. Billions saw the impossible. Warships. The curved lasers, the gravity waves, the silence of Earth's strike, and then the most shocking moment when Earth let the survivors go. A reporter showed it on the news. They could have destroyed everything, but they didn't. Why? Another answered, because they weren't attacking us. They were showing us what they've become. In underground resistance groups, people whispered with hope. If Earth is back, maybe change is possible. On planets once allied with humans, old flags were raised again. The human colonies, forgotten for centuries, began broadcasting open signals. Earth has returned. We stand ready. In the ruins of Operation Unity, a single black box floated among the stars. It contained a recording, a short message from Admiral Kale to the Council. This was mercy. Don't mistake it for weakness. In the dark corners of space, more human. Fleets activated, silent, efficient, waiting, not to conquer but to protect. Protect the truth, protect the balance, and make sure the past never repeated again. The Council was shaken. Their greatest fleet had returned in ruins. Entire worlds had seen the defeat black ships, human precision, and weapons beyond imagination. But the most terrifying part? Earth hadn't finished them. It had shown mercy. That mercy felt like a warning. Across the galaxy, leaders met in private. Whispers spread across political halls. The question was no longer, are the humans back? It was, how long have they been planning this? Councillor Varn sat alone in the quiet halls of the Council archives. The lights were dim, the air smelled like dust and forgotten memories. He stared at an ancient file, the last known copy of Project Blackout, the secret operation from 300 years ago. This was the file that told the truth. The Council hadn't just abandoned Earth, they had voted to erase it. Digital viruses were sent to wipe Earth's history from galactic networks. Surveillance drones were rerouted to avoid human colonies. Even Earth's allies were pressured to stay silent or disappear. It was a quiet war, a betrayal hidden behind laws and political words, and it worked for a time, until now. Varn closed the file and looked at a symbol carved into the table. The old Terran flag, a simple design, a planet wrapped in stars, and below it, one word, remember, he whispered. We forgot. They didn't. Far across the stars, in a place once marked quarantined, a ship approached an old, dead world. The planet was called Arak Tol, one of the first human colonies wiped out during the Betrayal era. No one had visited it in 200 years. The Council claimed it was toxic, lifeless, but Earth hadn't forgotten. A small human strike team landed on the surface. Their mission was not war, it was recovery. Admiral Kale had given a quiet order to her fleet. Bring back the truth. Inside a broken city, buried under sand and rubble, the team found what they were looking for, a hidden underground vault. powered by ancient nuclear cores. Inside were the archives of the fallen, the last recordings of the colonists of our rack-tau messages, videos, journals, warnings, pain.loss.proof. Captain Lysa, leader of the recovery team, activated the first console. A hologram blinked to life. It showed a young man in a mining uniform, standing in front of burning buildings. His voice was calm, but bitter. To whoever finds this, know that we were betrayed. The council shut down our food lines. They jammed our signals. We died waiting for help that never came. The message ended. Then another dot, then hundreds more. All told the same story of council lies, of blocked aid, of silence, of death, Lysa whispered. So this is what they buried. The team uploaded every file, then they sent them across the stars. 12 hours later, the archives went viral. Across the galaxy, people watched the forgotten voices of the human colonies, children crying, parents begging, leaders warning. We did nothing wrong, one colonist said. They feared us because we didn't follow their rules. They called us dangerous, but we just wanted to live free. Billions of viewers saw the truth. Protests erupted in cities across council space. People smashed monuments, burned council flags, and demanded justice. But Earth remained silent, still watching, still waiting. On Palehaven, Admiral Kale stood in a dark room filled with glowing screens. Each one played a different archive message. Behind her stood Rice. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. Kale's face was stone. They thought time would erase this, she said quietly. Rice nodded. But time only made us stronger. Back on Varaxis Prime, Counselor Vaughn entered a secret vault in the deepest part of the council archives. He had found something strange in the old file's coordinates, to a place never mentioned in public history, an old relay station built in the void between galaxies. It wasn't just a signal booster. It was something more. He activated the terminal. A dusty AI woke up, flickering weakly. "Welcome, Varn," it said. Accessing classified files, Project Quiet End. Varn leaned in. What was Project Quiet End? The AI responded. Final stage plan to eliminate Earth's leadership by targeting ships escaping Earth during the blackout. Varn's eyes widened. They killed survivors. Confirmed, 8 escape vessels destroyed. 1 escaped. Unknown location. Varn stepped back in horror. The Council hadn't just tried to erase Earth's voice, they tried to erase every soul. That night, he made a choice. Varn leaked the file. The next day, the galaxy saw it. Proof of the final betrayal-destroyed refugee. Ships, Council votes, secret weapons used on civilians fleeing Earth. That was the final spark. Whole planets began leaving the Council. Civilizations declared neutrality. Some declared loyalty to Earth. Old Terran allies rose from the shadows and said, "We remember. We are ready." Admiral Kale stood before her gathered commanders in the Palehaven War Chamber. Around her were the leaders of Mars, Titan, Europa, and other long-lost colonies. Kale raised her voice. This war was never ours. It was given to us by cowards who feared human strength. We will not rule the galaxy. We will only remove those who lie to it. Her generals stood. They pounded their fists over their hearts. For Earth, for the fallen, for truth. Across the stars, Earth's fleets moved, quiet, controlled, not to destroy cities, but to dismantle the system, and above Palehaven. A new message was broadcast, this time to the galaxy, not from Admiral Kale, but from a young girl, a survivor, one of the children from the Aractal recordings, now grown, now strong. She stood in front of Earth's flag and said, "You forgot us, but we grew in the shadows. Now we walk in the light. We are humanity, and we are awake." The Galactic Council was collapsing from the inside. After the release of the archives of the Fallen and the Project Quiet End files, the truth could no longer be hidden. Entire civilizations were shocked. Billions felt betrayed. Many had trusted the Council for generations. Now they saw it for what it was, a machine built on fear, a structure held up by silence, and that silence had just been broken by Earth. Inside the Grand Chamber on Varaxis Prime, angry voices echoed through the domed hull. Holographic delegates from hundreds of species argued, shouted, and pointed fingers. "We were lied to," screamed the Celtari representative. "Our people supported the attack on Earth because we were told they were dangerous," yelled the Lorican ambassador. "We demand new leadership." Another shouted. Counselor Varn stood in the middle of the chaos. His face was calm, but his heart beat heavy. He had started this storm by revealing the truth, and now the council was beginning to split. One group, led by the Marnock and the Valerians, still believed Earth was a threat. "They were too powerful," said High Speaker Drell. "They will take control of everything if we do not act now." Another group, including the Jalari and the Solari, believed Earth had done nothing wrong. "They showed mercy after you tried to destroy them," said Jalari Counselor Lin. "If they wanted war, Veraxis would already be ash." A third group stayed silent, but in their silence, they were preparing to leave. The council was no longer united. It was breaking on Pale Haven. Admiral Kale watched the chamber's live broadcast. She turned to Commander Rice. "They are doing our work for us," he nodded. "Their fear is tearing them apart faster than any weapon." Kale walked to the center of the command room. "Send a signal to our allies," she ordered. "Tell them the time has come." Across the galaxy, old Terran colonies activated. The colony on Titan sent out defense ships to protect independent systems from Council patrols. The Mars fleet began escorting refugee ships leaving Council space. Europa's AI network launched communication satellites into neutral zones, offering free and uncensored news feeds, something the Council had blocked for centuries. Everywhere, Earth was not attacking. Earth was offering protection. And for many, it felt like hope. Back on Veraxis Prime, Counselor Varn met secretly with Counselor Lin of the Jalari. They sat in a quiet observatory. "Far from the riots below, this is over," Lin whispered. Varn nodded. "The Council's authority is dead. We just haven't buried it yet." Lin looked at the stars. "What happens now?" Varn replied. "We choose. Choose what? Whether we stand with the lie or with the truth." Later that day, 13 member species officially withdrew from the Council. They declared themselves neutral systems, free from Council control land, open to peaceful relations with Earth. That moment was historic. It had never happened before. It was the beginning of a galactic shift. The Council's core leaders panicked. They sent urgent orders to their remaining military fleets. Protect Council space, shut down rebellions, block human transmissions. But it was too late. The people had made up their minds. Earth wasn't the threat. The Council was under the shadows of the Council's capital. A small resistance group gathered scholars, officers, civilians, people who had always questioned the official story. They called themselves the Remembered. And now, with Earth back, they finally had a voice. They released a public message. For centuries, we were told Earth vanished. But they were always watching. They waited for truth. Now we walk with them. Billions watched it. Millions believed it. The message ended with Earth's old motto, unity through truth. On Pale Haven, Admiral Kale sat in silence in her private chamber. She stared at an old photo on the wall, her mother, a general who had died during the last days of Earth's collapse. Below the photo was a simple line, "Never forget who we are." Rice entered. "More systems are reaching out," he said, "even former enemies." Kale turned. "Then it's time." Time for what? Kale stood tall. Time to speak. That night, Earth sent a new broadcast. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't a warning. It was a speech. Admiral Kale stood before a global audience, billions across the galaxy. Watched. She didn't wear armor. She didn't stand in front of warships. She stood under the stars, with only the Earth flag behind her. Her words were simple. 300 years ago, we were abandoned. We lost our voice, our worlds, our people. But we never lost ourselves. We do not come to rule. We do not come to destroy. We come to ensure that no one is ever silenced again. If your people seek freedom, stand with US. If your leaders use lie, stand against them. We are Earth. We remember everything. And we are not afraid. The galaxy didn't sleep that night. On every world, people gathered in streets and homes. Some cried, some cheered, but no one stayed silent. And far above it all, in orbit around Pale Haven, Earth's fleets stood ready not to conquer, but to guard the future They were finally building. The skies above Veraxis Prime, the heart of the Galactic Council, had never seen war for over 500 years. It was a symbol of peace and order. Massive towers stretched into the clouds, council banners waved in every sector and in the orbit. Above, fleets of council ships floated like guardians. But now, that peace was an illusion, and illusions don't last forever. On the surface, riots burned through the lower city sectors, citizens angry, betrayed, and full of fear. Through the streets carrying signs that read, "We want truth. No more lies." Where was Earth? Council soldiers tried to hold the line, but many had already dropped their weapons and joined the people. Inside, the council tower, the last true loyalists met behind locked doors. Councillor Drell, face pale and voice cracking, shouted across the chamber, "This is the end. If we don't act now, Earth will take everything." Councillor Varn stood across from him, calm but firm. "Earth doesn't want our throne. They want our lies to stop." "You still don't get it," Drell snapped, and he was right. In orbit, the final fleet of the Council held formation. 500 ships, their last defense, not against invasion, but against the truth. Then a signal came, a single blip on the radar. Then 10, then 50, then hundreds. Earth's warships had arrived, but they didn't open fire. They didn't even move to attack. They simply hovered at the edge of Veraxis space waiting, watching. Admiral Kale was giving them a chance. One last chance. Inside the Earth flagship Eclipse 1, "They've activated defense grids around the planet," he said. Kale didn't flinch. "Prepare the message." Rice raised an eyebrow. "You're still going to speak to them?" Kale nodded. "One final offer. After this, we finish it." Across every screen on Veraxis Prime, the signal broke through. Broadcast towers that were once council-controlled now played Earth's message. Admiral Kale appeared this time, not in armor, but in black formal uniform. Her eyes locked on the camera. "Veraxis Prime," she said, "the center of silence, the root of betrayal. But I offer you one final gift. Surrender your control. Free your people, tell the truth, do this, and no one else has to die. If you refuse, we will not destroy your planet. We will destroy your lies. But with light." From orbit, Earth's ships launched thousands of signal torpedoes into the planet's upper atmosphere. They didn't carry explosives. They carried data. The full truth. The erased records, the death orders, the names of the council members who voted to destroy Earth. Billions of people across Veraxis Prime saw everything, and when they did, the real war began. Mass protests turned into rebellion. Power grids. Failed Council guards surrendered in groups. Military bases declared independence from the Council and refused to fire on Earth's ships. Councillor Drell watched helplessly as the walls closed in. "The people, they're turning on us." Varn looked at him one last time and said quietly, "We turned on them first." By nightfall, the Council tower was breached, but no soldiers stormed the building. No missiles fell from orbit. The people walked in unarmed, and one by one, he said, "No blood, no fire, just truth." Kale nodded. She looked out the window at the glowing planet below. "This was never about revenge," she whispered. "It was about remembrance." The next day, Veraxis Prime held its first open election in 500 years. The people voted for a new government built, not by fear, but by unity. The Council, as it had existed, was no more, and Earth never stepped foot on the planet. They didn't need to. They had already won. Across the galaxy. The news spread fast. The Council has fallen. Veraxis Prime is free. Earth kept its promise. New alliances formed. Old enemies became friends. Independent systems declared peace. And at the center of it all, Palehaven, Admiral Kale, stood once again before her people. This time, the entire galaxy listened. "We didn't return to conquer. We returned to remind you, no power is forever. Only truth survives the stars." And as she stepped down, every human in the room stood in silence, not with fear, but with pride, because they had done the impossible. They had come from silence and brought the galaxy to its knees with truth. The war was over. The Council had fallen. Earth had not fired a single shot on Veraxis Primand yet. It had one. Peace was spreading. New governments were forming, And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy was no longer ruled by fear, but deep under Earth's hidden world. In the shadows, a secret even Admiral Kale did not fully understand. Beneath Pale Haven, miles below its surface, was a zone simply known as Black Level. Only for people in the entire Earth fleet had access. No cameras, no transmissions, no outside links, just thick metal walls, sealed vaults, and a cold silence that seemed older than time itself. Admiral Kale had never been there until now. Rice walked beside her as the elevator sank deeper than any human facility. Why? Now? He asked. Kale stared forward. Because Varaxis is no longer the greatest threat, the truth is free. She paused, then added, "It's time I learned what Earth gave its life to protect." The elevator stopped with a hiss. Kale stepped into a massive underground chamber. The air was cold. The lighting dim and red dot in the center was a sealed vault door. On it, a symbol older than the Council, an open eye surrounded by stars. It was the symbol of Project Itaramtha, last human project before Earth went silent. Dr. Ellen Mira, the lead archivist, stood waiting. She bowed her head to Kale. "Admiral, welcome to Black Level." Kale walked straight to the vault. "Open it?" Mira hesitated. "Once we open this, nothing stays the same." Kale's voice was steady. Nothing ever did. Mira placed her hand on the scanner. The door opened. Slowly, with a deep hum, inside a single light shone down on a round chamber. At the center floated a suspended cube, glowing faint blue. Kale stepped closer. "Is it AI?" Myra shook her head. "It's more than that." She began to explain 300 years ago, during Earth's final days, a group of human scientists developed something beyond technology. A mind-archive, not just a machine, not just a recording dot. It was a living memory, a digital soul of Earth's greatest leaders, thinkers, and strategists, combined into one self-aware system. They called it Echo Dot. It wasn't just made to survive, it was made to guide. When the Council turned against Earth, ECHO was hidden deep beneath Pale Haven, locked away with orders. Only awaken if the stars begin to forget. And now, the stars had remembered. Kale stepped closer to the cube. It pulsed softly, as if sensing her presence. Rice whispered, "Do we activate it?" "Speak." A soft hum filled the room. Then a voice echoed, calm, male, human, but not quite real. "Admiral Kale, welcome. I have waited 326 years." Kale didn't blink. "You know who I am. I know all who carry Earth's mark. You are the first to come after the silence." Kale stepped forward. "Then tell me, what is your purpose?" ECHO responded. "To preserve what Earth was, to prepare for what Earth must face, and to warn of what comes after." She asked. Echo pulsed brighter. "The Council was not Earth's greatest enemy. They were afraid of our strength, yes, but they feared something else even more." Kale's eyes narrowed. "What?" Echo paused, then said, "Something ancient, something beyond the edge of mapped space, something the Council found and tried to control." Kale felt a chill. Rice spoke. "What did they find?" The cube answered slowly, "A signal, not human, not biological, not artificial, just endless. It comes from outside the galactic rim. It repeats a single word in every language it touches." Kale whispered, "What word?" ECHO's voice lowered. "Consume," saying, "The Council knew about this. Yes, they tried to decode it, then to hide it, then to run from it." Kale asked, "Why didn't they tell the galaxy it first?" And because deep down they believed Earth could stop it. Kale turned to Rice. "They betrayed us not just because we were strong, but because they were afraid we'd become their shield." Kale looked back at Echo. "Is the signal still active?" ECHO replied, "Yes, and growing stronger." The truth was far worse than anyone had imagined. The Council hadn't just betrayed Earth out of jealousy or fear of rebellion. They had done it to buy time, to sacrifice humanity to something far greater. And now, that threat was still coming. Kale left the vault in silence. Above her, Earth's fleets were resting after victory. The galaxy was celebrating freedom. But Kale now knew the celebration would not last. There was something far worse waiting in the dark. She called an emergency meeting of all Earth fleet commanders and allied leaders. When the room was full, she stood and spoke plainly. "We've won the war against the Council, but a new war is coming. And this time, the enemy isn't afraid of lies. It doesn't want power or territory or control. It wants everything, all of us." The room fell silent. Kale looked out at the galaxy map glowing before her dot, and she whispered the stars were quiet, because something beyond them was listening. Admiral Kale had seen war. She had faced betrayal, crushed a galactic council, and rebuilt Earth's place in the stars. But what lay ahead was unlike anything she had ever known, and it began with a single word, one whispered endlessly by a signal from the edge of space: consume. The galaxy had entered a new age. The Council was gone. Earth's fleets now patrolled freely, protecting systems once abandoned. People celebrated their freedom, but deep under Palehaven, the ancient AI known as Echo had revealed a darker truth. Something older than the galaxy was coming, and no one was ready for it. In Earth's central war chamber, above the table, she pointed to the outermost edge beyond all known star systems. This is where the signal came from. Over 300 years ago, the Council received it. And instead of warning the galaxy, they erased the data. Rice stepped forward. They thought if Earth took the hit first, the rest might survive. The Martian general clenched his fist. Cowards nodded. And now, the signal is active again, stronger, closer. In deep space, a listening post called Outpost Hallion picked up the signal once more. This time, it was louder, not just words, but images. Flashes of dying suns. Planets turned to dust. Strange. Shadows moving in patterns no species could understand. The scientists called it the pattern that devours. And Earth's analysts confirmed one thing. It was moving inward, toward the galaxy. Kale made the call. Earth would send a scouting fleet. They would travel past known space, toward the source of the signal. If they returned, they would bring answers. If they didn't, humanity would still prepare. The ship chosen for the mission was the Horizon Breaker, crewed by Earth's best scientists, soldiers, and explorers. At its command, Captain Rhea Solent, one of Earth's most brilliant minds. She stood on the bridge, looking out at the void ahead. Her orders were clear. Find the source, learn, return. The ship jumped beyond the edge of the known stars and was never heard from again 20 days later. Earth's long-range sensors picked up something strange. A new object had entered the galaxy. It was not a ship. It had no engines, no signals, but it was moving, and everything in its path light. Dust, data vanished. Panic spread quickly. Earth's allies sent fleets to intercept it. None returned. Kale watched silently as reports came in from colonies near the outer rim. Stars disappearing. Energy drains. Black shapes in space too large to measure. Then, Earth made its most important decision to unite the galaxy under a new defense pact, one not ruled by fear or power but by survival. Old enemies joined. Free worlds swore allegiance. Even broken council systems came crawling back because everyone now understood this was not just Earth's fight. This was existence itself. Kale stood once more before her people. Doesn't want our planets. It doesn't want our ships. It wants silence. And we, humanity's fleets, stood ready. Titan's command center launched automated guardians. Mars activated its ancient, the final command. All forces prepare for contact. The stars had been quiet for centuries now. They were filled with tension and from beyond. The darkness approached, not fast, not loud, but steady, certain, and it carried the voice of everything. The galaxy feared, consumed. Earth had survived betrayal, survived exile, survived silence. But now, hidden fleets had brought freedom. Barax's Prime had fallen without fire. The Council was gone, but something worse had arrived. It wasn't political, it wasn't a species. It was a presence, silent, hungry, moving closer, and Earth was the only force left to face it. From the edge of the galaxy, in a system once known as Orensbelt, came the first true sign of contact. A lone ship drifted toward human space. It was the Horizon Breaker, Earth's scout vessel, the one sent beyond the edge, the one declared lost. But something was wrong. There was no signal, no lights, just ... Drifting. Admiral Kale stood on the deck of Eclipse 1. Eyes locked on the massive viewscreen, the horizon breaker floated like a ghost, blackened, burned, and twisted, but still whole. No signs of life, no energy, not even residual heat. Kale narrowed her eyes. Bored it. Darkness, no lights, no sounds, no sounds, just strange scratches on the walls deep. But as soon as she tried to record them, her visor, glitched, then failed. Every electronic system in her suit went dark. She cursed, switching to analog. Her backup flashlight flickered to life. It showed something worse. A single message carved into the wall, not alien, human, written in blood. It saw us. Kale watched the live feed from the ship and ordered immediate extraction. But before the team could leave, Eclipse 1, you remembered. Now we watch. Then silence. Leanne and her team returned, shaken. She handed Kale a small data core recovered from the horizon breaker. This survived the damage, she said. We don't know how, but the ship's final log is inside. Kale activated it. Captain Rhea Solon appeared on screen, her face pale, her voice calm but strained. This is Captain Solon. We found the signal source. It's not a beacon, it's a wound. We looked into it, and something looked back. If this message reaches Earth, do not come for us. Just prepare. The log ended, and the room went silent. Kale turned to Rice. We're not facing a species. Rice nodded. We're facing corner of space. A new signal echoed across human sensors. Not a word this time, just a pulse, and Earth's artificial mindsy CHO. Europa's grid, Titan's coral, paused at once. For a full second, every AI in the system froze, as if something bigger had entered the room. Kale stood before her commanders. The stars were quiet. But now the void speaks. Earth had seen many enemies, but this one wasn't coming with weapons. It wasn't coming with ships. It was already here inside their systems, inside their minds, hiding behind the stars, and now it was starting to speak after the horizon breaker was recovered. The strangest things began happening. Earth's satellites, ones that watched. Deep space began turning slightly on their own AI cores across Mars, started receiving images. No one had programmed, and one symbol kept appearing over and over again. An eye, drawn in stars, etched in static, burned into sensor feeds. Admiral Kale sat in her war room on Palehaven, watching the new data with Rice and Dr. Ellen Mira. These signals, they're not random, Mira said. They're building something, like a pattern. Rice stared at one display. What's this part? He asked. Myra hesitated. That's a map. Of Earth. Across the galaxy, other civilizations began reporting similar signals. The Jalari lost an entire AI city when every drone dropped at one sea edge. One showing the same glowing eye on its screen before shutting down the Solari homeworld. Experienced an event where thousands of citizens claimed to hear whispers the exact same message. In different languages, we see, we wait. Kale held a closed meeting of Earth's Defense Council. She spoke directly and clearly. The void isn't just coming for our worlds, it's already crawling into our systems, our minds, our machines. Europa's AI connected directly to Echo. Confirmed the worst. The signal is not trying to be understood. It is trying to become part of us. Suddenly, a new message arrived. Not through a broadcast, through dreams, across Earth and its colonies. Thousands of people reported the same nightmare, standing under a starless sky, surrounded by silence, and something looking down at them from above. A voice would whisper, "You lit the sky once. Now you must burn for it." Doctors couldn't explain it. Scientists failed to block it, but Earth knew this was the next phase. The void wasn't attacking the body, it was testing the soul. Kale gave new orders. All AI systems go dark, all transmissions go manual. All human forces trained to resist psychic attacks. For the first time in centuries, Earth turned away from technology and went back to discipline, back to human instinct. And then it came. Not a ship, not a fleet, but a rift tripped. Open in the dark space beyond the edge. Something stared through it. No face, no form, just awareness, and a voice that made Techo itself stutter. "You are not forgotten. You are not forgiven." Rice turned to Kale. "If it's already inside us, how do we fight it?" Kale looked out at the rift, forming beyond the stars. "We do what humanity always does," she said. "We look back, we stand up, and we burn brighter than the darkness ever expected." At her command, Earth's hidden defense project, codename Solar Echo, was activated. It wasn't a weapon, it was a shield of pure light, built from human sun cores and powered by old Terran physics, designed to push back anything that didn't belong in this universe. The first time it fired, the rift shuddered, the voice vanished, the signal went silent, but only for a moment, Echo whispered to Kale. Alone in the dark, it blinked, and Kale knew. The war had not begun. It had just opened its eyes.